Hello, and welcome to Yep, a King of the Hill podcast for Fatty, Stinky, and Brooklyn. I'm Rob.
And I'm Ronnie. Rest in peace, Fatty.
Oh,
Today
Fatty.
we're talking... oh, Fatty. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 8, Shins of the Father.
You got a real gun!
Oh, and now Peggy Hill has a real gun. Bobby, you are too young to own a firearm, honey.
Did you see that, Hank? Tell your woman to give him back his gun.
In this episode, Hank's sexist dad crashes Bobby's 12th birthday party and starts influencing Bobby in all the wrong ways. Hey, Bobby's 12 finally. Old enough to get a prostitute now, as we'll see in the episode, according to Cotton.
This might be the most rich, densely packed, fully formed episode we've had.
Sure.
So far, maybe. I was a little caught off guard by that. You know, like I hold Square Peg, for example, in such high esteem. I didn't see it coming that I would feel like this episode is excellent, really well written, and just jam-packed with way more stuff than we could possibly talk about.
Yes, I totally agree with you. You know, I'm like, all right, here we go. Cotton's coming in. And I've said before, I've never minded Cotton as much as other people. I know that you have thoughts about him that...
I want to punt him.
Kick him across the yard. But I found myself laughing probably the most on my first watch on this one than I have, especially compared to the last few we've done. And again, that's not to say that those aren't funny episodes, that I didn't like those episodes. But I was just cracking up so much here, and not even because of Cotton, like stuff the other characters were saying. I mean, we'll see Dooley's here. Of course, I'm laughing at whatever dumb shit he says. But it's not just us, I think, who feels this way, Rob, because this episode was written by Alan R. Cohen and Alan Friedland. And I was looking at the other episodes of King of the Hill that they've written. This is their first time we're seeing them. And they've written lots of Cotton-centric episodes. So I'm guessing, look, Judge and Daniels liked how this one turned out, and they're like, all right, you guys write most of the Cotton ones going forward, because this one was so enjoyable for how unenjoyable of a character Cotton is.
One thing, thinking about those writers coming in, one, I was like, oh, are they the same ones who wrote, like, Square Peg, for example, like other episodes that I really admire? And they weren't, like you're saying. This is the first one.
Yeah.
You can almost, I feel like there might be evidence in the episode that they get a writing gig, they watched the first however many episodes were available to them at the time. Maybe that wouldn't be part of it, right? Like maybe they weren't produced yet, or they read the scripts or whatever would have been available. Maybe they familiarized themselves with what the show had done so far, talked with Daniels and Judge. Who knows, right? Because I think that, one, you get a little taste of every character that we've cared about so far. You know, like everyone gets a little line, and what they say kind of fits with what we were introduced to about them. I don't know if that's, so for example, like a specific one is finally Luanne works on cars again. Almost like these dudes were like, okay, so what's with the Luanne character? Oh, she's like kind of dumb, she works on cars, we can get her dumb and working on cars. She maybe isn't dumb in this episode.
She's not even really dumb. Yeah, you're right. This is very much like the pilot Luanne.
Yeah, you're right.
Compared to what we've seen in the last handful of episodes.
It's kind of like Bill's a bummer. Okay, I got something for that. Dale's got a conspiracy kind of thinking. Okay, we got something for that. Here's what Peggy's like. Okay, we can do that. You know, she's even, and a lot of this stuff is stuff I'm thinking of in the moment. So I don't know if I can fully support the point, right? But just now it occurred to me, is Peggy kind of more so than ever before a blend of that more caretaking Peggy of Unmentionable Problem and Pilot, and the Peggy we started to see a little bit more last time. Yeah. When she's a little self-involved and competitive, right? I don't know about self-involved this time. Well, she is, I don't know. I'm Peggy Hill. Like the third person's in full effect, and like it's the most complex Peggy, maybe.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's true. And I guess maybe Hank is the one where you'd be kind of like, what are they doing with Hank in this episode? They got to walk a tightrope with him, because he has to like enable. Anyway, I'm getting too into the details of it. But I was thinking about, like, it's interesting that these guys seem like they may have familiarized themselves with the show and who these characters are, and then they found a way to craft this episode really well. That it's like, hey, this is what this show could be at this point in its development.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Every character really shines here. I do want to mention Bobby, the birthday boy, because he is that easily influenced little boy that we know, but they do something kind of new here with him, and that we really see showbiz Bobby. Like at his party, he's like, what are you talking about? Like he's doing that, which he goes on to do a lot more in the show. So, I mean, just to your overall point, every character is so enjoyable here.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really did a great job. Now that you mentioned, I'm really thinking about that, where everyone shines. And we'll talk about that soon enough. But this episode came out March 23rd, 1997. Why don't we crack open this Arlen bystander while Bobby's over there entertaining the children and see what was going on when Shins of the Father debuted. Hey, it's Ronnie. Thank you so much for listening to Yep and for hanging out with Rob and I as we talk through this wonderful episode of this wonderful show. If you'd like to help us out, just telling one friend about Yep would really be huge. Word of mouth is by and large the biggest way and the most effective way for a podcast to grow. So it would really help us out. If you know anybody that likes King of the Hill and they like podcasts, let them know. If you would like to support this show financially, that would help us out just as much. You can do that by heading on over to yeppodcast.com/support. Link to that in the description of this podcast episode. $5 a month gets you the full version of these deep dives, where not only are we talking about the King of the Hill episode, but you get the exclusive portion where we are talking about news events and pop culture from the time that these episodes debuted. So here we are back in 1997. What's going on? Well, first of all, we have the death cult Heaven's Gate. Rob and I are talking about that, and those Nikes. I'll tell you why they were wearing Nikes in all of those pictures. We're discussing these newfangled DVD players. What the heck are those? That'll never catch on. We're talking about two musicians who could not be more opposite. That is Ben Folds and Biggie, who are both making headlines at this period. And we are getting into some Dallas news. Let's go talk about some of that.
Residents in McKinney, Texas, which if I'm not mistaken is like a suburb of Dallas, small town outside of Dallas that's been absorbed into the urban sprawl of that hellscape. McKinney, Texas, they aren't happy. The city's sewer department must be doing some kind of upgrading, whatever they're doing. And they're using a city lot in the neighborhood as a dump site.
Oh, God.
It's kind of funny to me because it's the sewer department. It's like, oh, God, are they just throwing shit in a field?
Too many turds in this in the sewer. We got to move these over here.
But the specific thing that I saw them mention is cinder blocks. They're like, oh, these fucking cinder blocks.
Who keeps flushing cinder blocks?
Well, it's like the
building materials.
Of their,
yeah.
But it's funny to me. It's like, hey, we don't like what's going on in our neighborhood. Oh, what is it? There's concrete. It's like, yeah, man. Sometimes there's concrete in a developed city.
Yeah.
So there's that. Oh, and then, speaking of the hellscape of Dallas, you go to the big city, they got a quilt celebration going on.
Yes! Mom, can we go into Dallas today? Dallas Quilt Celebration 97. I wish I had a shirt that said that. I would wear the hell out of that.
So yeah, we got a quilting celebration. I like that those kind of felt like King of the Hill things,
Yeah.
Like you could have an episode where it's like, why is the sewer company dumping cinder blocks in
Cinder blocks! Whoa! There's a little bit about that. Yeppodcast.com/support. It's just a few taps, and not only are you signed up supporting us, but you are listening to these full episodes in your podcast app of choice. In the meantime, hey, let's go talk about Shins of the Father. We're finally meeting Cotton. Let's go see him.
Shins of the Father is great. From the first frame, we cold open on the Hill's house, decorated for a party, including this banner that must be handwritten, right? It says, I think it just says "Happy Birthday, Bobby," right?
Mm-hmm.
So right away, you're like, boy, we talk about how we like the slice of life deal that King of the Hill gets up to. Here's just part of life. It's time for a kid's party at his house with his weird parents probably fucking shit up,
Well, we hear they did fuck shit up once you play your clip.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. What happens first is Peggy blows up a balloon and hands it off to Bobby to tie it for some reason. Like, obviously, you wouldn't even do that. But then Bobby can't tie it before it deflates. And then he goes ahead and just hands the floppy deflated balloon to Luanne, who then goes ahead and hangs the balloon up,
Yeah, the flaccid, there's like barely any... We see a string of them all like that.
And that's without comment. That's a kind of thing that King of the Hill does that is so funny to me. I love this thing where it's like here's life, but it's absurd. It's absurd, and nobody mentions it. And I kind of like that.
Yeah, and just to the writing aspect, like they trust the viewer that like, okay, they'll get it, right? We don't have to spell it out for them.
Then Bobby has a line that I love, and this episode is just full of them. But the idea here is we find out that Cotton's invitation, Bobby's grandfather, Hank's father, right, Cotton Hill, his invitation got returned to sender because Bobby wrote the wrong address. I mean, we can't get in every joke, right? But he addressed it to hell. Yeah. Because Peggy says he's evil, basically. And then Bobby says,
I don't want Grandpa at my party. The kids are already going to hate me because you got the wrong kind of bean dip.
I cut it off. The kids are going to hate me because you got the wrong kind of bean dip. Is so incredible to me. I love it so much.
Oh my God.
Just that little detail of the bean dip of all things being of consequence. So much so, in fact, that the kids are going to hate Bobby. so you get that like junior high, middle school social anxiety and all the pressures of living up to what, and everybody's judging everybody and you're scared of what people think and all this and it's about bean dip.
Bean dip, the most pointless. And I love because Bobby's here fucking up all the balloons. And like he's not concerned about that, but he's like, the bean dip. I mean, it goes to like obviously on the surface it's an absurd statement and it's so funny. But no, you're right, like to like how much you can build things up in your head to where you're worrying about the kids are gonna hate you because of the bean dip. I mean, like nobody's gonna think about the bean dip or care about that. But Rob, what do you suspect? Like, what's the right kind of bean dip? Like, I can't even fathom what they did wrong. The brand? Maybe they got Megalo brand, not the name brand.
Yeah, I think we were always a Frito-Lay bean dip family in the can with the peel off top. That's the only bean dip I was ever aware of. I don't know if I'm wrong that now it feels like if you want bean dip, supermarket, grocery store's got 5 different brands of bean dip, and each brand has 3 different flavors or whatever. Yeah. Back then, maybe it's just because I wasn't doing the shop. I did go to the grocery store a lot because you got to do something.
You got to fill your time somehow. When King of the Hill's not on,
yeah, you're a 9-year-old kid in the middle of nowhere, Texas. You got to take the 15-minute drive to town with mom to go to the grocery store to have something to do. But I just been like, well, there's just bean dip. It's the one kind of bean dip. I wonder if things were really that simple before.
Well, evidently not. Because in 97 here, there's mistakes that could be made. You could blow up a birthday party accidentally with one mistake.
I don't know that a bunch of other 12-year-olds would care, but if I cared about, I like bean dip. If I was eating bean dip, I would have an opinion on which one was the wrong one. Because brands are different, man.
The thing that kind of stands out to me is that Bobby doesn't really act like somebody who cares that much what other people think of him. In fact, in future episodes, he basically says that he doesn't care. So I'm actually thinking, look, I put a lot of weight on what Bobby says here. I'm kind of thinking that maybe Peggy and Hank did fuck up the bean dip. Maybe they got a really bad brand. Maybe I'm with Bobby on this one. The crux of what happened there was that Bobby sent the invitation to hell to his grandfather, who he thought was the devil, but turns out Peggy just said was evil. She doesn't understand how he got devil from that. So that's what's happening here, and that's, Hank's upset. He's like, why are you saying this about your grandfather? He's a World War II veteran.
It's a glimpse into why on earth is Hank going to be such an enabler when it comes to Cotton.
What's wrong with the bean dip?
Wait a minute. What?
By the way, Peggy doesn't give a shit what Bobby said about fucking Cotton. She just wants to know what's wrong with the bean dip.
What's wrong with the bean dip?
Wait a minute. What's wrong with your grandpa?
He's got big plastic teeth. He screams all the time. His legs don't work.
Bobby, never make fun of your grandpa's legs. He lost his shins defending Texas in World War II.
Defending Texas?
That's that exaggerated, hyperbolic part of the show, right? As grounded as it is, like nobody's really being like he defended Texas. Like that's
Hank Hill is.
Well, Hank Hill is, but the essence of it. Well, we're building out the lore. That's one thing this episode does. Cotton has been this figure in Hank's memories I don't recall how much we know about him.
Right. I'm wondering, is this the first time we learned that he was like a vet? I can't
I don't
remember if
know.
they've mentioned it up until this point.
And the shins thing, which one thing that makes King of the Hill so great is those particulars. I mean, the bean dip kind of thing. And then, like, how do you create a character? And it seems to me that a lot of characters, you know, you give them a couple traits.
Mm-hmm.
Cotton Hill doesn't have shins.
Yeah.
like to pick that detail and like make that part of who he is, it's just, I don't know, it's just so off the wall.
I mean, but, well, hold on, because you say that, but actually...
You know a lot of shinless dudes?
My uncle is shinless. He lost his shins in Vietnam. And don't ask me how this works, but also my grandfather was in Vietnam, and he died there, unfortunately, but... he also did get his shins blown off before he died.
Really?
Yeah, so lots of shinless men in my family. So to me, it's not as out of left field, I guess, because like, you know, like my uncle had fake shins, still does.
But in fake feet, though, right? Like,
Yes,
I guess the
so
part that I'm saying
yeah, with
is,
Cotton, his feet are sewn to his thighs here, or whatever, or to his knees. So no, I'm not working with that in my family, but certainly shinless and footless people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, being amputated, you know, there's all kinds of amputations and stuff like that. Like people lose limbs in war,
Yeah.
and elsewhere. It's shins only. You
Yes.
know? Like the
You're
fact
right.
that he still has his feet. That's what I'm responding to.
Yeah, now that I'm not sure. Is that even a thing? Would they even bother
No,
doing that?
it
I
can't
would
be.
imagine not, right? Let me look. I have to look this up because now I'm just really curious.
It cannot be possible.
Yeah, why am I looking this up? This is ridiculous. Like, why would they go through all that surgery when it's like, buddy, you're fucked? Like, we're just going to take it all off. Yeah.
Turns out Bobby was right. The party's not going great.
Yeah, after the intro, things aren't going too hot.
For example, there's a dude, kind of a heavy set dude, who goes on the slip and slide, but boy, he's kind of big, so he maybe builds up a lot of momentum and speed, and he slips and slides right off of the runway there across the grass and into the fence. You know who that is.
Oh, who was that? I can't remember.
Bill did that.
Yep, Bill broke the fence.
And Bobby's comedy routine is just bombing.
Yeah.
Even at 12, newly 12, Bobby's got to know that this shit's not funny, right?
Orange, you glad I didn't say banana?
I mean, come on, man. Now, he does have a banana in his pocket. He's prop comedying it up, like old celery head. He does have the prop of the banana. But doesn't he know that that's not funny? He can't be surprised that his peers are not laughing.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in Bobby with that one. I gotta say. He should know better. He's a showbiz guy. He should have some better material than that. But I guess, you know, look, to the story writing elements here, if he was killing, then obviously there wouldn't be a problem here. So he, like, you know what I mean? Like, he has to be telling really lame kind of jokes for this to work the way that it works.
Makes me think if Cotton wasn't going to be the focus, the story could be, like, from this point, like, never mind anything about Cotton so far, but, like, if this happens, then it could be about Bobby. Yeah, he turned 12, but that party gave him a chance to realize, like, oh, I'm actually, like, kind of behind in my maturity, you know? Like, oh, now I'm 12, but actually his sensibilities are not attuned to his own age group. He's, like, lagging behind in development, which is true for Bobby sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's certain, like, Joseph hits puberty first and everything.
Right, yeah, we'll deal with that then, yeah, for
Every now
sure.
and then Bobby plays some catch-up. Like, the other kids, sometimes they are older than him, but the other kids are a little further advanced than he is when it comes to some of this stuff, right? So in the case of comedy, as much as he loves comedy, when I was his age, I was still playing with G.I. Joes. It's like, motherfucker, like, go find a football or something. It's like he just hasn't discovered the comedy that older kids and adults are actually going to like.
Yeah, you're right. But also, I guess, like, it's just a little unrealistic in that King of the Hill is not a dirty show. Like, I feel like a lot of kids at that age are telling real dirty jokes. That's when you start experimenting with that kind of stuff. And King of the Hill isn't going to go there.
Yeah.
So it's like they kind of have to keep him in this kind of weird territory versus, just cheap, dirty jokes that I probably would have been telling at my 12th birthday party. Which, on that note, I never had a birthday party like this where like we invited a bunch of kids over. I don't anticipate you did either, right? Based on how you spoke. Oh, once. Oh, okay. Mr. Popular over here. Holy.
I did. I had a neighborhood friend who was cool and popular and played sports, and every year would have a birthday party at his place and would invite me because I was his old neighborhood friend, but I just couldn't figure out how to make it work with the cool, like, Little League and Pop Warner football type dudes who were his other and better, really, friends, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was such an outcast at those parties. But I did have my own. I think he was there. We were 7. And some daycare kids. I went to daycare after school and kind of had my crew of guys there. And we never did anything outside of daycare, except this. I did invite people over for a birthday party. And I don't remember a thing about it. My guess is that I was probably a horrific, terrible, pain in the ass, self-centered jerk, because that's who I was. So I assume a day that it was about me, I was probably miserable to be around.
Right. But so you were...
I was probably being like, you got the wrong fucking bean dip!
God damn it! None of my jokes are working! Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you wouldn't have been trying to try out your stand-up material. You wouldn't have been that kind of host. But also, it sounds like you were a little kid anyways, so... I might
have been like, I memorized an Abbott and Costello routine. Here it is. And then nobody would laugh because it'd be awkward and bad. And then I would cry in my room. I'd lock my door and I'd be like, just tell everybody to go home. Like, that's the kind of person I was.
Leave the presents.
I'm like, I already have this, you know? Like that kind of kid.
This sucks. Give me a better gift.
You want to hear from wonderful Stuart Dooley?
Yeah. What does Dooley think about all this?
This party's boring. Everybody hates you.
Dooley, man.
My immediate thought was, why did he invite Dooley? Like, why would he want to have... I'm glad he did, because as anybody who's listened to Square Peg knows, we fucking love Dooley, but...
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't invite him to my party. Or maybe I would. I don't know. He's pretty funny. I don't know.
Everybody hates you.
Everybody hates you.
All right, so Bobby goes over to share his problems with his dad.
Dad, I'm dying out there. I blew up a balloon with my nose. Nothing. I did this thing. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Nothing.
Did you try burping the alphabet?
That's my closer, Dad.
I like that Bobby's aware enough of comedy that he knows what a closer is.
He has like a structure to his act here.
Yeah. And I like that Hank is aware enough of Bobby's comedy, despite everything we see about Hank being like uncomfortable. But like he knows that Bobby's got that material.
Yes.
You know? And maybe even is right that it's good, because if it's his closer, it's probably his best thing. Big finish. And Hank's like, well, have you done that really good thing you have? You know? Whether he just thinks Bobby thinks it's good or not.
Yeah, I doubt Hank thinks it's funny. But
the what are you talking about thing is actually funny. Maybe just because I like voices.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Boomhauer gets his, is this all he says? All episode?
Man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? I tell you what, fat kid's always a funny one, man. Is it dang old John Candy, John Belushi, knife and fork dug their grave, man.
Who wants a burger?
Knife and fork dug their graves. Jesus Christ. Which, I mean, that's one of the more bleak things I can remember Boomhauer saying.
Yeah.
I like that he is laughing. He basically just calls Bobby a fat kid and says fat kids are funny. Compares him to John Candy and John Belushi.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think about this must be around the time Farley died.
That's what I was thinking about too. Because I was like, really? He mentioned big funny guys, like he didn't mention Farley, especially here.
I bet it's before he died.
Oh yeah, so he dies in December of this year, 97. So this is his last year, I guess.
But what a strikingly, again, bleak thing for Boomhauer says all different kinds of things. I don't remember him being like that grim, right? Like the dark humor of Boomhauer saying knife and fork dug their graves.
Which isn't even true, because I know, John Belushi...
Belushi was a drug overdose.
Yeah.
Candy was probably heart-related.
So, not necessarily true there, Boomhauer, but I'll take it.
It's like I know I've said it, but it's like the darkest the comedy gets, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that King of the Hill goes there that often.
So, we've already experienced so much with this episode.
Yeah.
And then Cotton shows up.
Yeah, this is all before Cotton. It's already a fire episode.
Yeah. He rides in on a horse. He's rented this horse for the party. And so the party was sucking. Cotton's kind of going to save the day, it turns out. He's got the horse. People can ride the horse. By the way, Bill's the first one to jump on the horse. Bill's all in on this child's birthday.
Bill is having a great time. I mean, he even says so later that he's having a blast. Which I want to touch on real quick is that, like, we have Bobby there, some of his friends there, like Joseph, Connie's there, which, by the way, supposedly this is the first episode where she is called Connie. Otherwise, you were right, where in the previous episode, she's only called Con Jr. So we have that, but we also have, obviously Hank has his friends over. Like, Boomhauer doesn't have kids, Bill doesn't have kids, but they just showed up. They know Bobby, they like Bobby.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they might be there. Plus, they live across the street, so why not walk on over? And Con is there too, of course.
I like that Con's there.
Yes, yeah. It's nice to see that they're all kind of they're just neighbors now, assimilating. After the last episode, it's like, who knows which way that could go? But then we see here they're at the party.
Of course, Bill still says he's from Japan. And Con's like...
yeah, they're still hung up on that.
For the last time, stupid. I like that he calls him stupid.
Yeah. I don't blame him at this point.
Mean stuff. That thing where at parties you combine different groups. Like I was saying, my neighborhood friend plus my daycare friends. That neighborhood friend would have those parties with me plus his Little League friends. Mm-hmm. My grandparents would host a Halloween thing every year, and it would be their neighborhood friends plus family. If you're like not a neurotic, miserable twat, maybe you're cool with that. Me, I'm always kind of like, why are you mixing these groups? It feels weird.
It is weird, yeah.
New person, I don't like that.
Well, especially because you have a certain dynamic in a certain friend group, and then when you merge those groups, now you're like, where do I fit in with these two separate groups now? Because with this group I'm the funny guy, and then with this group I'm the whatever guy, and now am I both? Am I neither? It's like, especially when you're a kid, it is a lot to navigate socially.
I also just don't like the expectation. Like, okay, so I gotta, like, I have to, because I'm here, I have to, like, ask this guy what he does for a living, and like, I have to get along with him and enjoy it. And again, it's like, if you're just kind of open to people and not predisposed to be grumpy about it, it's probably fine, but I'm just not that guy.
Well, we weren't socialized enough as kids. But I do want to say, again, to Bobby's like failed routine, that sets Cotton up to be the hero who saves the party, like you mentioned. Because, he comes, they pull in with their car, but then he comes out the back instantly on this horse out the back of a trailer that's hitched to their car. Cotton's the savior now, so he's set up to be, as we'll see in the episode, a bit of an idol for Bobby because he saves the party. And Hank didn't save the party, right? Because Hank didn't, he told Bobby to do the closer right now, which was, Bobby's like, no, what are you talking about,
Hank.
Dad? Yeah.
We find out so much about Cotton kind of rapid fire. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're talking about him a little bit before he shows up, then he shows up. So we learn, like, we know his shins got shot off in World War II. He says later that he was 14 when he enlisted. We hear at some point that Hank's mom is still around. I don't know if we know that before he says that she left him.
Right. I don't know that we've seen or heard of her yet.
Yeah. She left Cotton, which is interesting because their generation, you wouldn't necessarily think it. But then you meet Cotton, you're like, yeah.
You're like, I get it.
Who wouldn't leave him? Well, it turns out maybe not Dee Dee, which is kind of fucking crazy. But speaking of Dee Dee, we're also going to later learn that she got breast implants.
Don't tell her, but I got them cheap. Both lefties.
Both lefties.
Both lefties.
Which, there you go. Now that we've heard Cotton, Toby Huss, man.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you can hate this character, but Toby Huss is just so fucking funny with all of these deliveries.
His delivery is so funny.
Both lefties.
Let's hear basically Cotton's introduction to the episode.
Hey, Hank's wife.
How long have you been here, Cotton? I didn't notice you.
Did it?
I love that Peggy is all geared up to, like, neg Cotton. Oh, I didn't even... He had this big entrance with the horse.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't know you were here.
He doesn't give a fuck. Like, Peggy's pretending she doesn't care. Cotton does not care. He just cuts her off, ignores her. calls over Dee Dee.
Not only that, but to point out that he doesn't even call her by her name.
I know.
He calls her Hank's wife.
Hank's
like,
wife.
how much does he one up her in like the fuck you meter?
Yeah, really. So he calls over his wife Dee Dee.
Come on out here and gab with Hank's wife. Look at here, Hank. What you think of your mama's new tatas?
The language? Come over here and gab with Hank's wife. I love that.
Yeah.
I tell students, precise nouns, vivid verbs. Like, find the words that'll enliven the language, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Gab. Gab is loaded, in my mind, right?
No, to me, it's almost insulting.
Yeah,
It's like lowering who they are as people. Yeah, just go gab, not talk or converse.
Yeah.
Go gab.
Yeah, it's got that kind of like hens clucking sexist connotation to it. And then now I'm forgetting, what was the other thing? Oh, tatas. Come on now. So you get the good verb gab, and then you get the good noun tatas.
Cotton's got some colorful language here. He's
Yeah.
got a large vocabulary.
She is not my mother. Hell, we went to kindergarten together.
Hank went to kindergarten with his own stepmother. And then here's Dee Dee.
Hey, Hank. Do you still like finger painting?
Do you still like finger painting?
Do you still like finger painting?
So funny. I mean, this episode. Another thing we learned about Cotton that we might as well just note now because it's not fundamental to the story that we'll track as we go here. Cotton knows about pop culture. And I don't know if that tends to be the case going forward. I don't recall. But he references Angie Dickinson's birthday.
Yeah.
And he's sitting on the couch watching TV with no pants on with Bobby later on.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear the TV, it's going to be an episode of Charlie's Angels.
Good morning, Angels. Do I have an assignment for you?
Good morning, Charlie.
Ah, damn! It's a Shelly hack. That's like getting a shimp.
That joke is incredible to me. It's got to be, I guess what I'm reacting to is, well, one, it's reference to pop culture, which I like, and it's a reference to pop culture that I like. Like, I like that Charlie's Angels, I haven't watched a ton of it, but I like that Charlie's Angels, you know, it's like a little moment in the history of U.S. television with Jiggle TV, hot chicks running around, you know.
Right, yeah.
And then it also has like a history to it. Farrah Fawcett was the breakout star. She left.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start getting a few other angels come in, right? Including Shelley Hack. You know that stuff, you don't, whatever. I don't know. I don't know how you appreciate this joke if you don't know the history of Charlie's Angels. So it makes it this like really inside joke for people like me who love that shit.
Right. Well, I appreciate you explaining because I never understood that.
Yeah. And then you got to combine that with knowing what it's like getting a shimp means, which shimp is the least like Three Stooges. Like there's the Three Stooges, the classic Harry, Curly, and Moe. But
Yeah.
Shemp is like the other dude who's around, or I don't even know the history of Three's Company. I almost said, speaking of Jiggle Television, the Three Stooges. Like Shemp's in the mix there, but he's not one of the three classic guys. Like whether he's a fourth wheel, I don't recall, or is he a replacement for somebody? I don't know. But god damn, what a pop culture joke! And I love the timing too. It's going to be Charlie's Angels. We hear David Doyle, or whoever plays Charlie's voice, I should say. You know, Hi Angels. And then it's when they say hi Charlie. So you can imagine, we're watching Cotton on the couch. We're not seeing the TV screen. But you hear them say hi Charlie. You know, presumably, that Cotton just saw which angels are in this episode because that was their line. You know what I'm saying? So like, here's the shot on their television. Here's the shot of the angels saying hi. That's when he sees Shelley Hack. And he fucking bursts with frustration and then finally like spits out, it's a hack, you know, it's a Shelley hack. I love that moment so much.
I looked up the Shemp thing, so I guess the two main stooges were Moe and Larry.
Oh, Larry, I said Harry.
And then the third stooge was like, first it was Shemp, then he was replaced by Curly.
Oh.
After Curly left, then Shemp came back for a period. So he was just the one that they're like, well, if Curly's not around, then we'll have Shemp.
Yeah, I think the like iconic Three Stooges lineup is Curly and not Shemp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't get the Three Stooges thing. We don't got to get into it.
Yeah, that was never really my cup of tea. But I want to mention Dee Dee real quick because we did just meet her.
Oh, yeah.
Voiced by Ashley Gardner, who also voices Nancy, Reverend Karen Stroop once we meet her, and a bunch of side characters. Like, I'm pretty sure in Hank's Unmentionable Problem, when Hank's like, do I know you? And she's like, no, you don't. I think that's Ashley Gardner doing that voice.
My favorite delivery of that episode.
Yeah, so, a new character, but not a new voice to us. We'll see as we see more of Dee Dee. An interesting character. I never thought this until watching this for the podcast. Do you suspect that maybe she has some sort of mental disability or something?
I don't know what qualifies as disability.
Right, I'm not qualified to talk about that, but I feel like, first of all, why else is she with him?
Why would she be with Cotton?
He's so mean. So, yeah.
Rebecca asked if she's, on drugs, She speaks quiet and slow.
Yeah.
And I want to say maybe she's even animated where, her eyes look a little...
Yeah, she has, a blank kind of look to her.
Yeah. So, is she just doped up on something? Or, yeah, is she just, stupid?
Maybe she's just below the average intelligence level. I don't know, especially because I know I'm taking a big step back here, but to her finger painting comment... I don't want to read that literally and say, oh, maybe she still finger paints. I think that was really just her trying to make a connection with Hank, because that's the one thing that they did that she remembers. So I don't want to read too much into that, but it does stand out a little bit that it's that's the one thing, not hey, what, of anything that could have been said, you bring up the finger painting again. I don't mean to read into that because I really don't take it that way, but it is kind of funny with this new hypothesis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's hard to understand. I don't think we ever get much clarity.
We never get an answer,
the
really.
whole
I don't
series,
think.
She's a bit of an enigma.
And she has to be, right? Because what sane person would be with fucking Cotton, right?
Yeah. I didn't think about this, and now I'm getting ahead of where we are, obviously. Hank refers to the fact that his mom was a strong woman, like Peggy, so no wonder she couldn't put up with Cotton and left him.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about what he's suggesting about Dee Dee at that point. Dee Dee's kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
She's mentioned, she's out in the car.
Right.
To take you home.
Mm-hmm.
But Dee Dee is not fundamental to the plot.
You're right.
Certainly not the climax of it.
She's really not. She's just there.
But what Hank says, and so we'll just, let's note that, and we'll maybe keep it in mind if we recall to consider, given what Hank actually says to Cotton at that moment when we get to it, what is that saying about Dee Dee, or suggesting about Dee Dee? So that's a bit of who Cotton is, and as the show seems to do, efficiently they build this person, the big backstory of World War II, but also divorced, remarried, younger woman, she's odd, Obviously we see his temperament and everything at play. The fact that he would buy 2 left implants. It's there's just so much going on. And the part and then the pop culture thing, of course, I like that kind of thing. But it's a little odd for him, I think.
It's that him and Bobby are kind of similar in some ways. So we see, Hank's not into this stuff, but Cotton is. So you kind of see where Bobby gets some of that, if anything, biologically, I guess. And of course, look, to Cotton being a little fella, it's funny that, him and Bobby are the same exact height. It's fun to see the grandpa and the grandson who are basically the same height, hanging out and being buddies together. And that is a theme we consistently see, not just in this episode, is that Cotton fucking loves Bobby. He's always doting on him. And so it's fun whenever they get together, because that's Bobby's the one person that Cotton isn't horrible to, as we will see in this episode.
It might be his only redeeming quality, that he likes Bobby.
Yeah.
And treats him decently. Should note that this pop culture stuff that Cotton is aware of is all about babes.
Yeah, oh, of course. Yeah, it's all about women. Yeah.
He's not critiquing. What's a 1997? He's not watching the newly launched The West Wing. I don't know what. All right. Well, Bill is enjoying the party. He's eating some cake. Says he's having a good time. Because Joseph is your party's good. Now that Cotton's around. And Bill's I'm enjoying it, and he's eating some cake, and then we get some more Dooley.
Your wife divorced you.
And I love the visual because we have Bill sitting here with all the kids. He's just hanging out with the kids. Again, we saw him on the slip and slide. He really is having a blast. It's nice to see Bill have some fun here, which is something we don't normally see.
Yeah, that's true. He takes the hit, right? He doesn't
fire back.
No, and he shrinks a bit. But right before they cut away, his fork moves as if he's going to get back to eating the cake.
Yeah.
That's how it seems to me. Like we don't see him, but it's like, it looks like he's going to just keep eating his cake.
Yep.
And there's something about that I like.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, Khan is there. I've always loved this moment. And we're spending a lot of time early, but I feel like, well, we got to hit this moment. Khan's there at the party, as we said. Cotton's like, get me a drink or whatever. Khan's like, what do you think, I work for Hank? And then Hank introduces who Khan is.
Dad, this here's my new neighbor.
He's Japanese. No, he ain't. He's Laotian. Ain't you, Mr. Khan?
And talking about Tobias's delivery, he's Japanese. We already saw earlier, Bill said he was Japanese. Now Dale's saying he's Japanese. These fuckers still don't get it. Cotton gets it. He knows.
He walks in and knows, yeah.
And I think we talked about this at the end of last episode, but don't you hear like almost a menace in there?
So, yeah, you said that. I'd never thought that before. To the visuals of this scene, Cotton, he looks Khan up and down. Like, he literally looks down like at his feet, too, and like looks him back up again and says, he's Laotian. And Khan kind of, I can't really read. Khan gives a reaction. He gives a visual cue after Cotton says that. And with what you said in mind, like, I really was looking. I still don't know how to take this. I really don't. I don't know what this is supposed to mean.
I'm not aware of any reason why being Laotian would be a criticism or anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he says, like, he's Laotian. And then when he says, ain't you, Mr. It's kind of like, almost, the sound of it is almost like Khan wants to hide that he's Laotian. But in reality, Khan wants everybody to understand that he's Laotian. Here's someone who finally knows that he's Laotian, gets it right away without even having to be told. And yet the way he says it, like his demeanor and the tone of voice is almost kind of like a challenge or confrontational or something in there. It is hard to describe, which I like, by the way. It's such a strange, complex exchange.
It's a very complex interaction there, yeah. Which, again, I just always read as comedy, as like, Cotton, who's like the worst character on the show, like he knows and gets it right. I'm looking up here Laos's role in World War II.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked up, was Laos in World War II? And the AI overview, which we know this will be correct, says, yes, Laos was involved in World War II primarily as a French protectorate occupied by Japan. So I don't really know what that means. Look, somebody, some World War II buff, fill us in. But like I was wondering, I was like, okay, well, like was Laos maybe fighting for Japan? And maybe that's why Cotton would be angry about it? But I don't think that's the case.
Doesn't sound like it. All right. So just to summarize some of what goes on that establishes what the story really is going to be, Cotton pisses Peggy off, really. Yeah. Peggy is like the one who's reacting to Cotton in a way that seems reasonable, whereas everybody else is kind of like amused by him or intimidated by him. What all is going on, who knows? But Peggy doesn't like it. He does call her Hank's woman at one point, and she's like, I am my own woman. Don't you forget it. He gives Bobby a shotgun, and then later, when Bobby can't bust open a piñata, Cotton just blows it apart with the shotgun. Yeah. So Peggy's like, you gave him a loaded shotgun?
Yep.
And after the party in the house, he like refers to Hank working at a gas station and calls him a grease monkey.
The family gas station. I know I don't want to do this too much, but because he's like, Bobby, what do you want to do with your life? He asks the 12-year-old. He's like, oh, I want to be in comedy. And then Cotton says, Hank, we've decided.
Yeah.
He's going to be in comedy. He's not going to take over the family gas station, which is funny, but also, you see Cotton coming to Bobby's side here, especially when Hank doesn't want Bobby to do that, which I think is great. Also, to the loaded shotgun, any other show would just play this off as a funny visual gag, but it's actually a point of the episode of like, you gave him a fucking loaded shot that at a kid's birthday party, he picked it up and was like holding it. I don't think his discipline was very good, the way he was holding it with this crowd
Bobby,
of people around him. Yeah, Bobby, because he had no idea that it was loaded, So Peggy acting very reasonable, and especially because, of course, Hank's friends think that Cotton is so cool because he's this war hero, but Peggy has to deal with this fucking guy in a way that really nobody else does. So her reaction certainly makes sense, and I like seeing her stand up to him throughout this episode.
Yeah, me too. And I get frustrated that Hank does not have her back for the longest time,
Yeah.
he breaks a plate to fight Hank. So like he has a jagged object to fight Hank. And I don't know how serious he is that he wants to, because Hank's like, like he's just wrestling or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, it's just boys being boys. But like, is Cotton gonna, where does it end with Cotton? Like, how far is Cotton gonna go in a moment like that where they're fighting with sharp objects?
That's a good question.
Cotton's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he probably knows Hank won't fight him, is my guess.
Yeah. He's a bully.
Whenever my dad breaks a plate and tries to fight me, he knows I'm not going to fight back. So it's probably a similar situation.
You know, you just got to punch them one time and then they back down. You know, I think with Cotton, he might. I don't know. And I think that's fun. Like with Cotton is so. I feel like I'm going to use the same words over and over again, but like he's a complicated dude in a way. It's easy on the surface to be like, well, yeah, he's a misogynist asshole, and he is.
Yeah.
But I don't. There's so much going on. Like he's so interesting as a character,
which is brilliant of everyone working on this show, the writers here, because again, you know, if he was just this despicable, straightforward, evil character, first of all, that's not interesting. Second of all, you're just going to fucking hate him and not want to watch him. So it's important that he has redeemable qualities and also just complicated, interesting qualities that kind of keep you wanting to watch him and see what happens, as opposed to like, oh, he's just evil to everyone all the time.
Actually, that takes us right to something that I'm not quite sure I understand. I'd be curious to know what you think about it. After he breaks the plate, Peggy's like, all right, time to go.
Yeah.
But it turns out his car won't start. By the way, Luanne, they're like, well, Hank can fix it. And Luanne says, don't bother. It needs a new whatever the fuck. Yeah. She knows the part that she can't hear.
Just by hearing. Yeah.
That's one of the things I was thinking about. Like, you look back at the previous episodes to write this one, and you see that about Luanne in Pilot, right? She fixes the truck in Pilot, and it comes back around here. It feels like they did their homework on the characters as they've been presented in the past.
Yes.
This is an example of that kind of thing I was trying to talk about earlier. But so here's what I was wondering about as far as Cotton goes. He's sabotaging his own car to have an excuse to stay. At some point, Luanne even says, like, I found this whatever timing belt or whatever it is.
Yeah, later.
In the laundry. Do you want me to wash it with the darks? There she is being stupid. I knew she was stupid somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You want me to wash it with the darks, this car part. But anyway, so he's sabotaging his car so he can stay. They just kind of leave it at that, don't they? Like they mention, I guess I'm going all out of order. I don't mean to. Hank's going to say that Cotton is having to do that because he wants to be around them, but Peggy has made him feel unwelcome. Are we meant to think that that's pretty much it? Because that's all we get for like any kind of explanation or exploration of why Cotton's doing that. Not to go on and on, but like where I'm coming from is it seems like there's a way where this story gets to where you like dive into Cotton's psychology and what's going on with him and why he would take these measures to spend time with them instead of just being like, we're going to stay for a week.
And ultimately, maybe it's just like, look, they wanted Luanne to do mechanic shit because she did it in Pilot. And like they needed a kind of a quick way to make him just have to stay rather than having a conversation about it. And also him having to stay is a totally different effect on the characters of like, there's nothing we can do about this. We have to accept that this is happening versus, you know, if it was a conversation, can I stay? Then you would have Hank and Peggy mad at each other already right off the bat. So maybe there's just like story writing elements here that this facilitates more interesting things with the characters than if it were just a big conversation.
That's true, because it removes the conversations Peggy and Hank, for one thing, would have to have about should he stay or not, blah, blah. Right?
I guess they kind of do, though, right?
Because they do kind of do that.
They discover, but ultimately it's like, well, we can't just kick the guy out. You know what I mean? Because there is that element that's out of their control.
Yeah, there probably is a storytelling advantage to that.
That's what I'm thinking that it kind of just boils down to.
Like everybody's thrown into this situation. You can deal with the situation, not deal with getting them into it.
And us as the viewers, we could be on both Hank and Peggy's sides. Like, look, I get Peggy doesn't want the fucking guy there, but also Hank doesn't want to like not let his dad stay and like kick his dad out. You know what I mean? When it's against his control, so they think. Like, oh, this thing just happened. You know, I should be good to my dad and just let him stay here for the night because they just think it's going to be a quick thing, which obviously, we see it turns into more than that.
I am remembering. Am I misremembering that It is a conversation right away, though.
Yes, yeah, because they talk in the garage right there. Yeah, Peggy and Hank do.
When Hank says, well, Jesus loves him, so I win.
So I win.
Like they're taking votes. The women don't want Cotton around, the men do. Well, Jesus loves him, so I win. Like, that's right away.
Yep, that's right in this scene, yeah.
Anyway, so various things to think about that at the very least. And speaking of, you mentioned Hank's flashbacks, which is how we've known Cotton so far. We get one even here. Like, Cotton's around, and we're really seeing vividly what a maniac he is. And the guys, Bill and them, are like, oh, remember when he took us to, I think Dale's the one who says, remember when he took us to the Hotel Arlen? Because he was setting them up with sex workers, Cotton was, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And Hank remembers it, and we know Hank. He's really uncomfortable and doesn't want that. And he comes back from his memory and says, not everybody's dad would do that to them. I mean, for them.
For them.
As I am frustrated with Hank for a lot of the episode. Like, how can he let this guy be this person? He's like stick up for your wife, that's your partner in life, protect your son from his like all the stuff that comes to a head here. I'm feeling it, and of course you're supposed to. It's a story, but man, I'm like, come on, Hank, motherfucker. But there are these little glimpses of, it's not like he's 100% absolutely just enamored with his father and thinks he's the greatest. It almost is like there's a little bit of obligation. Well, he's a war hero. In fact, he debates it with himself.
Yeah.
Basically like, Peggy's right, but my dad has no shins,
Yeah, exactly.
So he is more conflicted, and as frustrating as it is that he doesn't overtly fight back against Cotton and seems to kind of roll with it and enable the worst of who Cotton is, all along the way, there's ways to read Hank as being actually internally conflicted and kind of like trying to make the best of a bad situation.
To jump ahead, that is kind of the crux of the episode. We see a transformation from Hank here of, like, in this episode, I feel like he is the most pro-Cotton that we ever really see him.
Yeah.
And after this point, he doesn't take as much of Cotton's shit. Now, sometimes he does, out of, like you said, like the obligation to his father, obligation to somebody he respects as a war hero. But that is, ultimately we'll see at the end, like, how this does resolve. But there's two thoughts here. One is that Hank is clearly traumatized by things that his dad did to him. And maybe this is something of a trauma response of just, okay, just go along with what he says until he goes away. And then two is kind of breaking out of that father-son relationship to be an adult man to adult man relationship where, like, he's falling into this, like, well, he's my dad, I got to do what he says. And then, obviously we'll see at the end of the episode, Hank breaks away from that and is I'm putting my foot down, like, no, like, this is my life and you're not going to keep fucking it up. And you're certainly not going to fuck up my son's life. Obviously, we're jumping very far ahead here, but
it's hard not to, because part of why I keep dragging us toward the end is like I'm trying to follow the story as it unfolds. Like, what's going on with the characters, right? So you do kind of inevitably have to talk about where you end up because you're trying to follow how you get there.
And I can't help but feel like we're doing this because the episode is so well written that it kind of implores you to do so.
I guess one way to think of it is for a while I'm struggling that Hank isn't more like Luanne when she sticks up for herself.
Yes.
Because Cotton is telling her, like, don't eat too much, or no, eat some more.
So it's breakfast time now, yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to get fat. And he's like, that's not up for you to decide. A man will tell you when you're attractive.
Man will tell you.
And then what does he do? Does he grab her ass or something? I'm forgetting.
Yeah, he like smacks her ass or something like that.
Because that's what he does. He likes to smack asses. And here's Luanne's response.
Touch me again and you'll be wearing that corn pone, old man.
Hey! Feisty!
Which she does stick up for herself. And we like that.
That's awesome.
Except Cotton doesn't give a shit.
That's the interesting. He doesn't get aggressive with her. He doesn't get upset. He like is almost impressed that she like fights back. Like that's what he's looking for almost, is that fight, is that kind of like conflict. Ultimately, I mean, you would assume, getting into his psychology, that he's doing this to get a response. And she gave him a big response, and that's kind of what he wanted, but he also respected the response because she was standing up for herself. But he doesn't, that doesn't make him respect her more as a woman.
No.
He just likes what she said, I guess, ultimately. But yeah, like, we have Cotton here. it's breakfast time now, and there's talk of fixing his car so he can get the fuck out of there because everyone wants him gone. And Luanne is nice to him up until this point. Like, she's entertaining him and going along with it until he touches her and crosses that line, and that's when she goes badass mode on him.
Which is rare for Luanne, I want to say, throughout the series.
Yeah,
it's not really... She doesn't work on a lot of cars, it turns out, and she doesn't necessarily threaten to kick people's ass.
I like the Luanne in this episode.
I know.
You know, I wish we got to see more of this Luanne, because certainly, like in Luanne's saga, she's basically a fucking doormat. And then here, she actually really stands up for herself in a way that I never could, to be honest.
Yeah, really.
If somebody touched me, I'd just be like, "Don't touch me." I wouldn't. Yeah. I don't think that I would articulate myself quite in that way.
Well, Cotton volunteers to take Bobby to school and doesn't. He takes him to a bar instead and teaches him how to slap waitresses' asses.
Yes.
And that gets us to the couch scene, because I know I jumped out of the party to talk about Shelley Hack on Charlie's Angels. I was trying to condense stuff that we knew about Cotton. Here's where that actually happens, and we see how Cotton acts and how it's affecting Bobby, influencing Bobby.
Come on, get me my beer, woman.
Mom, I'll take my dinner in here too.
Bobby, you will not. We eat our dinner in the kitchen.
Boy wants his dinner in here.
Well, we eat in the kitchen.
Here.
Kitchen.
Here.
Kitchen.
Here.
Hank, for God's sake, I need a little support here.
So she's pleading with Hank to fucking do something.
Help me, Hank.
So am I as I watch.
Yeah.
Well, Peggy, it might be nice for a change to have dinner in front of, the TV.
Well, go on, woman. Get me my dinner.
Boom.
Bobby smacks his mom's ass the way that Cotton just did to Dee Dee.
And we go to black. So through, 3 minutes of Toyota commercials and Burger King commercials, you have to think like, Hank, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
And I don't know what like kind of sexism or whatever is built into that, where I'm like, the man should be sticking up for the woman. But come on, he needs to. It's his dad. His dad has no respect for women. There's nothing Peggy can say or do that would possibly affect Cotton's behavior. If anything's going to happen, it's going to have to come from Hank, and Hank is dropping the ball. Luckily, we come back from the commercial break, and I don't know. It's funny because it's putting me in a position where I'm like, oh, how do I feel about my reaction to that? Like thinking, like, come on, Hank, be a man and live up to gender norms and stick. But then when we come back and I'm relieved that Hank is yelling.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you guys got me glad that he's yelling at my beloved Bobby. But thank God he's putting his foot down.
I don't know where you got the idea you could slap your mother's behind.
Which, by the way, really?
Yeah.
Hank?
Really?
So, Peggy, the voice of reason, tells him where Bobby got that idea.
I'll tell you where he got the idea. Your father. And it's all your fault for not nipping it in the bud.
Yep.
What do you want me to do? I can't change my father.
Well, he certainly won't listen to me now, will he? You're both men. You're both peacocks, remember?
What are you, turning into some kind of feminist?
I am not a feminist, Hank. I am Peggy Hill, a citizen of the Republic of Texas. I work hard, I sweat hard, and I love hard, and I gotta smell good and look pretty while I'm doing it. So I comb my hair, I reapply lipstick 30 times a day, I do your dishes, I wash your clothes, and I clean the house. Not because I have to, Hank, but because of a mutual, unspoken agreement that I have never brought up because I am too much of a lady.
30 times a day?
There's so much going on there.
A lot, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's Hank's fault for not nipping it in the bud, right? He let it get too out of hand. Hank's right. What can I do? I can't change my father.
Yeah.
Peggy's right that no one else can. It's going to be Hank or we're stuck with this guy having this effect on our kid. And then I mean, there's so much, right? I like that Hank is like, what are you, a feminist?
You a feminist now? What do you think? Women should be treated the same as men? What the fuck, Peggy?
But she says no.
Yeah.
But her way of saying no is interesting too, because she's like, it's kind of like she's saying, it's not about being a feminist. This isn't philosophical. I'm Peggy Hill.
Yes.
But then just her description of what her life is like, doing all of this work while trying to stay presentable, apparently reapplying her makeup constantly.
Yeah.
And then there's this. She says that she does all the housework and everything because of an unspoken agreement, that she's too much of a lady to talk about. What does she mean?
I don't know. I thought about that, and I really couldn't really figure out what she meant by that.
Because can we jump to the end again? When Hank does eventually stand up to Cotton, he mentions that they have a deal, that they're equals, he and Peggy. She does all the housework, and then he has certain things I'm supposed to do that I won't mention. What is he doing? It has to be, like, how do you not think that it's sex of some kind? Like, it's some kind of sex thing, right?
My thought on that was that he literally could not come up with an example of something that because I think this is a real dynamic in many, many, many relationships. I say like that's some sort of like big insight. The women are doing most of the shit that has to be done around the house. And then if they get in an argument, like the guy's like, oh, well, I do stuff too. And the woman's like, well, what do you do? Stuff I can't think of right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, can't even... I kind of read it as that, and I've seen people have those arguments before.
Oh, like firsthand you've seen it?
Yeah. My friends were fighting one time. Not, they weren't fighting, but like, they got into that of like how the girl...
They were breaking
the woman,
plates and figuring out...
No, nothing. It wasn't an
were.
actual... It wasn't a cotton fight. Well, no, she's like, really, like, what do you do around the house? And he's like, just because I can't think of anything right now doesn't mean I don't do anything. Like, it was like that. And I was like, ooh, you can't think of nothing? What did you do?
I get choking in the moment because I'm a big old choke artist myself.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you can't think of something, maybe
Of
it's
not
'cause
even
you're
one
doing
thing. Like,
enough.
I'm surprised Hank didn't mention, like, well, I mow the lawn and I
know. Well, so
you know,
that's
I
it, right?
grill the steaks. You know what I mean? Like, he could have... But I've seen Peggy make the steaks, too, though, throughout the show. You would have thought he would have said mow the lawn at least. I make sure that we're stocked up on propane. You know, like, why didn't he?
Yeah, that would have been funny. Because I was going to say, is it just a matter of, like, wanting to do a little joke there or something? And it's not, like, don't make much out of this. It's just a joke. Like, some kind of innuendo or something joke. Because I don't know what it would have to do, how it would be related to, like, being ladylike. Or too, I don't think he says too much of a gentleman. But the language he uses later, and we'll hear it.
Yeah.
It does make me think of something, like, private.
Yeah.
It certainly wouldn't be funny if he said, she does the housework and I mow the lawn, right? Like, that's the truth of it, and that's probably the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not funny, so I wonder if you just, like, try to go for funny and do this kind of innuendo deal.
Yeah, I don't know, because also it's like, well, as far as I can tell, he's the breadwinner. Like, Peggy does work and certainly brings in an income for them. You know, and I can't anticipate that Hank's making buku bucks at fucking Strickland Propane, which we actually see him working at this episode, which is like the second time.
So far, rare, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess when we get to it, maybe once I hear the clip. But when I hear Peggy give that speech, where we're at in the episode right now, it brings me to Luanne's saga again, where she gives that whole, like, kind of like Pandora's box women thing. Like, I kind of get that vibe here with this, too, except in Luanne's saga, Hank's like, whoa, like, he like can't handle all this like women's history stuff. But then here, he's like, you know, what are you, a feminist? Like, it seems like he kind of forgot what he learned in Luanne's saga to potentially find one pitfall of this episode, which is a very great episode.
Although Peggy's monologue there, I don't know if I quite even thought that it is similar to the saga one that she, and so it's another case of like, yeah, okay, they familiarize themselves with how this show works and who these characters are, and here's
it's good.
it is.
Yeah, and this is more like to the personal plight of Peggy versus women as a whole. This is, I mean, she is like extrapolating it to women, but she's like, you know, I apply lipstick 30 times a day, you know, to look good for you, which is like some, like, to mention, of course, how women have all these extra standards that men don't even have to think about, right? Like, I only put on my lipstick once or twice a day, and Hannah's got to do it 30 times a day. I mean, what the hell is that?
It's this rotten patriarchy.
But Hank's, 30 times a day.
By the way, is that his takeaway?
Yeah. Of everything that she said, he's like, wow, 30 times a day. Regardless of Hank's takeaway, he seems to be jacked up now. He's ready to confront Cotton for the way he is corrupting sweet little Bobby.
I like the structure of this, talking about how well written the episode is. You had things come to a head initially, right? Like the initial blow up that leads to Hank having to do something he hasn't yet done, which is confront Cotton. But then you find a way to keep, like, that's not the end of it, right?
Right.
Because what happens is Hank comes up to Cotton and is like, we got to talk about what you've been telling Bobby.
All right, Dad. I need to talk to you about some of the things you've been telling Bobby.
I've been telling Bobby a lot of things. For example, I told him how I lost my shins defending our country. You want to hear that story, Fatty?
Sorry, yes, sir. Bill, I'm trying to talk to
I
my...
was 14.
I was 14.
13.
Now, if you're a psycho like Cotton Hill, does he read that Hank says, I got to talk to you. So Cotton picks up on like, all right, I know how I can win this.
Yeah.
Play the old shins card.
Which he's played many, many times to Hank, I'm
Over
sure.
and
And
over
I
again.
want to touch on, Cotton says he was 14, which means he was 2 years older than Bobby.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense when he asks, because at first I'm like, you're asking a 12-year-old what he wants to do with his life. But if you were 14 and signed up for the military, like, I guess that kind of checks out that you would be thinking in that way. If we believe him, if he really was 14.
Yeah,
obviously.
well, that's
we
one
learned,
thing too, right?
Right.
We're headed into the most elaborate account we get of his war experiences, maybe in the whole series.
I don't know, because there is an episode about it later
That's true.
that contradicts this, and they point out how it
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Is, like, how true is anything we're about to hear?
That's the thing. We don't know. Was he even 14 when he signed up? Yeah, it's like, who knows?
Just a little older than Bobby. But I knew Uncle Sam needed me. So I lied and signed up. And we had beat the Nazis in Italy. And they shipped us to the Pacific Theater. A Tojo torpedo sent our troop ship to the bottom. I could only save 3 of my buddies. Fatty, Stinky, and Brooklyn. They were kind of like you fellas, only one of them was from Brooklyn.
Just thought we might interrupt here because this goes on for a bit. That stays consistent as far as I recall. His war buddies.
Yeah, because we do meet those characters later.
Yeah.
I feel like there might be a fatty that we meet though later.
I feel like right?
In the Alamo episode, I feel like there is kind of like an overweight guy who's with them. I don't know if that is fatty. I don't remember what they call him in that one.
That would be interesting for us to keep track of.
Yeah, keep an eye out for.
I guess we haven't gotten that part, but Fatty ain't gonna make it.
Yeah.
I got bad news for Fatty
Very quickly
here
yeah.
as they float in the ocean after getting their a submarine torpedo or their ship or whatever it was.
Out of the sun came a Tojo Zero and put 50 bullets in my back. The blood attracted sharks. I had to give him Fatty.
He had to feed Fatty to the sharks.
This story, man, he's a hero.
Then things took a turn for the worse.
By the way, he got shot by 50 bullets in the ocean and then fed his friend to the sharks. And then things took a turn for the worse.
That's when it got bad. After he found land.
Then things took a turn for the worse. I made it to an island. But it was full of Tojos. They were spitting on the U.S. flag, so I rushed them. But it was a trap. They opened fire and blew my shins off. Last thing I remember, I beat them all to death with a big piece of fatty. I woke up in a field hospital, and they were sewing my feet to my knees. Now, what was it you wanted to talk to me about, Hank?
Well, nothing, I guess.
Well, I want to say to those listening in, of course, you heard Bill, but Cotton's sitting on Hank's tractor while all of Hank's friends are around him. So it's not only Hank having to talk about the Bobby issue to Cotton, but he's got his friends there who all believe this story that Cotton's this war hero. So now he looks like an even bigger douchebag coming to his dad like, well, I know you did all that, but you need to stop, seeing my son or whatever he's going to say. So Hank is in such an impossible place right now, having to follow up that. He feeds Fatty to a shark, but then later has a piece of Fatty to like beat somebody to death with. It's like, what? It's so insane.
Listening to it again made me realize how silly I am to even wonder. I mean, it's a cartoon, so who knows? But of course that's not what happened.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Watching it, the only thing I was like, come on, they were spitting on the flag. He's being, like, that's a fib.
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing is so crazy.
Like that's where you draw the line. You're like, they're having a circle spit over there. I don't believe that. Not for 1 second.
I mean, for one thing, I think a couple of times I watched the episode and I missed that he beat them to death with a big
piece of fatty that he kept for some reason.
Favorite. That's my favorite part of it. But he is, the notion that he's using that to escape whatever confrontation Hank's trying to create about Bobby.
He's weaponizing
Pretty
his
clear,
history.
right?
Yeah. Look, to jump seasons ahead, at some point Hank and Peggy are talking about how bullshit Cotton's stories are, and Hank's just like, look, all I know is that we know he lost his shins. He went through some horrific shit, and at the very least, you kind of have to give him that, regardless of what actually went down. So we do kind of get a resolution to all this bullshit, but it's really not entirely in this episode.
To the episode's credit, we get that he's exaggerating, and we don't get to find out what's true or anything, but for the purposes of this story, here's this guy who plays up his war experience as a way to manipulate people so that he can mistreat everyone.
Right.
Pretty fascinating.
Which is something else. Yeah. Like I mentioned, my grandfather, he was in Vietnam and got his legs blown off. It was like a friendly fire accident. The U.S. dropped some bombs on their own boys on accident. So I always heard these stories about how he got his legs blown off, and then he carried some dude across a line with his legs blown off still. Then because he was a medic, and then while he was bleeding out, he was helping save people and helping telling them which people to bring on the helicopters and stuff. And I'm like, this all sounds like bullshit. There's no way that even that's true. But then I looked it up, and people who were there said that's what happened. So
really?
I thought it was a bit of a Cotton situation where it was exaggerated, but people are he saved my life and all this shit. So I was like,
damn.
I can't talk about. I get emotional when I think about people doing good stuff and helping people, and that's what gets me emotional for whatever reason. I guess that shows the state of our world.
Yeah, no, I do.
People helping each other and being good. Fuck no.
Yeah, I do too. I get choked up or emotional when I see that. I feel like that's a cue. That's my mind and body being hey, you care about that stuff. Make that a part of your life. Just like if I see a new flavor of Doritos, and I feel an excitement. It's yeah, that's your body saying it would like to eat that. It's you see people being good, that's your body being you would like to do good.
Which makes sense as something inherently in us as humans. Most of us want to work together and build something together and things like that. So I guess it makes sense that we would be emotionally drawn to that kind of thing. I'll put a link. There's an episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force where they join the Marines. So I talk a lot about my grandfather in that one. I'll put a link to this if anyone wants to check that out, because in that episode I play, because my grandfather would send tapes from Vietnam, they would record themselves talking to the tapes and send those home. And he's doing this fake interview with one of his buddies over there.
Yeah,
and they're both in their early 20s. You heard it?
I must have. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you heard that one, yeah. So if anyone else wants to check it out, because it's really funny, because I'm thinking now, they're talking about how the war is kind of bullshit and all this stuff, and how the politicians are fucking stupid. And it really, to Bobby and Cotton having these similarities, I had people reach out to me dude, you sound so much like your grandpa, and you guys and I just listening back myself, I'm wow, I make the same kind of jokes that he was making in that tape, and I heard it maybe once when I was a little kid. So I'll put that if anyone wants to listen to it. But yeah, I mean, to this story again, though, when I would tell people, I would just regurgitate the stories that I thought I heard about him, and I'm that can't be true. But then I looked it up, and I was oh, well, I guess in that case it was. But in Cotton's case, there's no possible way, because it doesn't make any sense. I love the visualization and the idea that these Japanese soldiers were just sitting around an American flag just spitting on it. That's just something that they were doing.
So Hank backs down, and that's too bad.
Boo.
Because I love Bobby. I want what's best for that boy. We've already seen him smack his mom on the ass, so we know things aren't good. Then, I've got a fondness for Connie as well. I don't know why quite, but she's a good person.
She's a good kid.
Am I wrong? Yeah. Right? She's a good person.
No, she's really, yeah.
Tries to do well. Treats people well.
I would say opposite of Cotton in not just that she's a good character, and maybe I'll change my mind as we go on, but in this moment I feel not a particularly interesting character, in that she's pretty one track in a lot of ways. You can kind of predict her more so than maybe you could Cotton.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, and that's why I guess that's one reason why I'm like, well, wait, why do I like Connie exactly? Like, she's almost bland. But we'll see when we get more stories involving her. And maybe I don't know. Anyway, I like Connie and I don't like her being mistreated. And here's Bobby doing just that.
Yeah.
In the school cafeteria at Tom Landry High School, or middle school, Bobby acts like Cotton and mistreats Connie.
You've had enough cake, Connie.
What are you doing?
A man's gotta tell a woman when to stop eating. You're looking kind of chunky. Oh, she's moody. Must be PBS.
Must be PBS.
Which just shows, like, Bobby fundamentally doesn't understand what he's doing or what he's really talking. And he's even talking like Cotton. He's not just saying the same things as him.
know.
He's talking with that inflection, which must have been fun for Pamela Adlon to do a Toby Huss Cotton.
How about Adlon here doing especially the moody?
Yeah.
That's the word that sounds to
that
me
really
a lot
is
like
Cotton-esque, yeah.
Oh, she's moody.
Anyway, then Bobby starts a riot saying that cleaning up his own tray is woman's work, and
Yeah, because a woman teacher tells him, hey, make sure that you bust your table or whatever, and he's like, that's woman's work, and then a huge food fight breaks out at the school.
Yeah. So the sequence is Peggy calls Hank at work, and it's like Bobby started a sexist riot. And Hank's like, well, I'm coming home. And she said, well, you're too late because Cotton already took him to the Hotel Arlen. Now, structurally, one thing good about this episode, of course, is we had Bill call Con Japanese, and then later Cotton does the he's Laotian thing.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, of course, I mean, it's not like this is some incredibly, what's the word I want, but like ponderous magic trick or something. Like, it's not like my mind is blown, but I do like craft.
Yeah.
And so they have the Hotel Arlen get established earlier as this traumatic thing that Hank was not comfortable with. Yes. Even if he tries to make it as if Cotton did something for them, we know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know what the Hotel Arlen is to Hank when it comes to Cotton.
Mm-hmm.
So when Peggy says the Hotel Arlen, there's the switch, right? It's kind of like in Square Peg. You might have wished Hank could have been on Peggy's side sooner, but once Bobby is expressing certain thoughts about her that Hank doesn't like, okay, now he's going to snap to it and get right. Same thing here, right? Hotel Arlen?
Right.
It's on now. Like, I got to step up and be the person that I need to be right now.
The way I interpret it even is like, earlier, okay, I'll try and do the right thing, but he's still kind of beholden to Cotton being his war hero dad. But now, to him, he's like, my dad is about to fuck up my son the same way that he fucked me up. And that's really what like flips that switch for him of like, okay, I know where this is going, and no, this is not happening now. Am I mistaken? I don't think that Peggy realizes the significance of Hotel Arlen. I don't know if she knew that story.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I think she would probably be fucking hauling ass there right now, I think, if she knew. But at the same time, I'm sure she knows now Hotel Arlen is not what it used to be in the 70s or whenever Hank was brought there. So maybe she's like, maybe she knows what he's trying to do, but she's not as worried. Although I guess also you could be like, well, he's not going to find sex workers there. He's going to go look for them elsewhere. I assume Peggy doesn't know what's happening here. And I apologize to the listener if they outline this, but from my memory,
I think so too.
I don't think that like she's just like, oh yeah, he's taking him to the Hotel Arlen. In fact, Rob, sorry, can I just pull that up real quick? Because I kind of want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'd actually like to hear it. And I might actually have it here. Hold on.
Hotel Arlen.
No, I don't.
Hotel Arlen.
I'd like to hear it because what I'm curious about is I didn't pay attention to, does Peggy say it in a way as if it's like loaded and she knows what it means?
Right here.
What? I'm coming home right now.
Well, you're just a little too late because the devil took Bobby off to the Hotel Arlen.
Hotel Arlen?
I don't think she'd be at home just calling Hank. Honestly,
Yeah.
if she knew what was going down. Interesting too, Peggy says the devil there when at the beginning of the episode she's like, I didn't call him the devil. I said he was evil. I don't know how Bobby got that confused. So it makes me wonder if she did call him the devil initially and was lying about it. Not really sure there, but yeah. Huh.
All right, so Hank just found out that Cotton took Bobby to the Hotel Arlen.
Hotel Arlen?
I'm proud of you for what you did at school today. So I'm buying you a hooker. Go ahead, pick yourself out a live one.
A live one what?
Yeah, we should say, of course, Hotel Arlen now. There's some sort of like women's lawyer kind of meetup going on there. So there's a bunch of women there, but they're all dressed very professionally.
Yeah.
And so that's why Cotton could kind of think that maybe these are sex workers because there's like women everywhere walking around, but it's not at all what's happening.
I might note, I kind of spliced this together to tighten it up a little bit. It is still long, but I just want to kind of like hit the highlights that were of interest to us.
Bobby, get over here now.
But Grandpa said I could...
Bobby, you heard your mother. Get over there.
What are you saying, Hank? Are you siding with your woman? Look at me, son. Look at my shins.
So Cotton's got like the one move.
Yeah. Yep.
And to your point, Hank's friends aren't around now, right? Like Cotton's on his own.
True, yeah.
He doesn't have the kind of implicit support.
Yeah, and you get some desperation from him. He's not so confident in how he's talking about it.
I mean, partly also, too, there probably is reason to think that Cotton can kind of read Hank. And here he probably senses that Hank means fucking business now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Look, Dad, I'm sorry about Fatty and your shins, but I'm not a kid anymore. Bobby is my boy, and I won't let him grow up to be a woman-hating old fool. No wonder Mom left you. She was a strong lady, classy and smart like Peg. Maybe you couldn't handle that, but I can. My marriage is a partnership of equals. Peggy might do all the housework, but there are a lot of other things that I'm supposed to do, but I'm not going to say what they are because I'm a gentleman.
Yeah, he does say gentleman.
Oh, I get it. She's making you say this. You're just her puppet.
No, Dad, I'm saying all this because I mean it. Now, Dee Dee's out in the car. I had her pack up. It's time for you to head home.
So he does say I'm a gentleman.
Yeah, but I don't know how that would, like, if you're insinuating it's like sex stuff, I don't know how that would, because the thing that she's supposed to do is like housework. I guess I don't understand that connection.
Because the only thing that gentlemen don't talk about is sex stuff. And if you're ladylike, it means you pretend you don't have sexual feelings at all. And that's what Peggy says earlier, like she's too much of a lady or something. Like ladies and gentlemen, that's about being proper and not...
I took it more as like proper in your gender role. That she's like, I'm not going to like sit here and talk about it because I'm a proper like lady who just does all this shit for you. And I'm not going to sit here and discuss it.
That one, for some reason, makes more sense to me. Still, though, like what would be ungentlemanly about saying that you mow the yard or whatever, right?
Well, I think it's back like to what I said earlier is like he couldn't think of anything on the spot. And he's like trying to save face of like, well, I do all sorts of stuff, which I can't tell you about right now because I'm a gentleman.
See,
like
until he said gentleman, because I liked when you suggested that, and I just am hung up on that word gentleman.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting that it goes there. I think he's maybe hearkening back because Cotton's like, she's making you say all this. This is all Peggy. And in a way, Hank is kind of, he's pulling from that speech that she gave to him, right? Where she's like, I do all this stuff. Her speech seemed to like imprint on him in a way. Like that's when he finally tried to do something about Bobby.
Yeah.
Now look, Bobby also smacked his mom's ass, but Hank did act after hearing that speech. So maybe he's also stealing that part from, he's trying to emulate Peggy's speech because it worked on him. So he's trying to use that on Cotton. Like, oh, maybe it'll work on him too. In a similar way that it worked on me.
So of course that's a minor detail, and it's, partly it's just me wanting to understand how every single piece fits together, and that's not necessary and probably the way anyone needs to watch television. Other than those details, though.
Yes.
I really like that he's mimicking Peggy. I really like that there is this relationship where she is his exemplar of someone with a fucking spine.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're right that it was persuasive for him, and so maybe it'll be persuasive for Cotton, although, of course, that's not going to happen. I don't think anything could persuade Cotton, period. Yeah, and so here's Cotton's response. And at first, because Cotton has been shown to be that kind of manipulative person who uses his war experience, but of course then like his kind of like, I don't know if you would say feelings for him. That wouldn't probably be the right word. Here he tries to play it like that, you think, but it's the old misdirect.
Well, I never thought I'd see the day when my own son would stop loving me.
He's walking away.
It's about time! Love for sissies!
That's right. He's like happy about it.
Yeah. Which I was thinking earlier, I can't remember if I even said it, but with Luanne, she puts up a fight and he likes it. I was wondering, by the way, like Peggy stands up to him all the time. He doesn't seem to enjoy that or anything. Like he probably likes pissing her off, but he's not. Look, Luanne's young and hot. That's, I think, probably, it might be as simple as that.
A big part of it.
Yeah.
Can I say, I think part of it too is that Luanne ultimately has no power over Cotton, while Peggy kind of does because she's an adult of the household. So it is a different dynamic, I guess.
Like she can interfere with his ability to spend time with Bobby for one specific.
Right, yeah, Luanne can't affect him really in any way.
That's true. That's a good point. But thinking about the way that Cotton was looking for the fight, like you said, he wants the fight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hank is soft when it comes to Cotton. I'll kick your ass, he's saying to all kinds of folks, not Cotton, you know. And we see why, like we get a sense of why that would be the case. You do feel like, I mean, Cotton might just be kind of like prodding and poking and just like waiting for Hank to stand up and put up a fight. Maybe. But anyway, he does respond favorably to Hank putting his foot down here.
Yeah, he likes it.
So Cotton's off to Houston, and we got Hank and Bobby sitting in the truck. And I like this scene for a lot of reasons. One of them is that the story wasn't just Hank's got to stand up to his dad and have Peggy's back and protect Bobby and all that, but like we've seen damage be done to Bobby.
Right.
And Cotton's a shitty dad. And that had an effect on Hank. Hank wasn't doing everything he needed to do as a dad. And so now we get this nice moment, this scene of Hank being a dad to take care of Bobby, undo some of the damage that his Looney Tunes fucking dad, his own dad, you know, had on Bobby. And it revolves around Peggy. So there's lots of stuff going on here that I like.
Bobby, you gotta try and forget all that gobbledygook your grandpa told you.
I love the word gobbledygook.
Gobbledygook.
You listen to your mother. She knows best.
But she's a woman. How could she know better than Grandpa?
Well, because she's a lot smarter than him, for one. Your mother's probably got a better head on her shoulders than anybody in Arlen.
How about that little layer to it where Hank is a buffoon, thinking that Peggy's so smart? But at this point in the series, you know, I don't know that we would necessarily have any reason to think that he's off base there.
Yeah.
Like Peggy gets, I don't know if you want to say flanderized or whatever. Eventually you would think that she's got she really overestimates her own intellect. Here, I think Hank might be overestimating her intellect as well, except that in the episode so far, it seems like he might have a point.
Certainly, I'm not going to argue that she has an overinflated sense of self-intelligence. I can't argue that, but that doesn't still mean that she's not intelligent. You know what I mean? Like
That's true.
She could, I don't know what IQs mean, but maybe she's not 100. I think that's maybe, I don't know how high that is. Let's just say on a scale of 0 to 100, this is the Ronnie Neely IQ scale. Maybe she thinks she's 100. Maybe she's still like an 80 or something, which is still pretty good, you know?
Especially if he's saying it like she's got a better head on her shoulders than anyone in Arlen. Well, we've met people in Arlen.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that statement that he's
other than old what's his name, Straight Arrow Kid's dad, who just has a good job.
Eustace. Yeah,
useless. Anyway, I just had that thought. I'm like, everything we know about Peggy watching this series in retrospect, do I think Hank is like, and it's sweet, and you would hope he feels this way, but is it like a little bit like, oh, Hank kind of doesn't see her for who she is? But I don't think that that's built into this episode.
No, but I do like what you're saying.
In this episode, she totally has the
yeah.
She's right about everything the whole time.
Yeah, it works in this episode for sure.
And she was right in Luanne's saga, and she was carrying an unmentionable problem. You know, it's like Peggy's actually been very solid. So earlier I was saying that she kind of is more of that self-centered, competitive self that we saw against men in the previous episode. I don't think that that's been the case, has it? When she's been like, I'm Peggy Hill, like, okay, third person, but otherwise she's just saying reasonable stuff.
Yeah, like maybe the delivery isn't the best, you know what I mean? But the content of what she's saying is still solid.
Yeah. So Hank has said that Peggy's got a better head on her shoulders than anyone in Arlen. Bobby is so naive.
Better than Bill or Dale or Boomhauer?
Geez, Bobby, why not compare her to a baboon in the zoo?
But I thought they were your best friends.
I love that. Jeez.
Jeez, Bobby. Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you're a kid, you think all these adults, especially the ones that you see all the time, like, these are the smartest people in the world, right? But then Bobby learns a lesson here. No, these guys are fucking idiots. I mean, maybe not Boomhauer, but the first two certainly.
That was the thought I had, right? Like, oh, why is Boomhauer getting lumped in with these baboons? He's not like that. And then Hank drops my favorite line of the episode, I suppose. Those guys are your best friends, Bobby says.
Peggy's my best friend, son.
It's so simple. I love the delivery of it. Peggy's my best friend, son. I like the son on the end.
Yeah.
There's so much about that line that I really like. Partly because I married my best friend. Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah. Not your best friend. I married my best friend.
And so I just like, and you know, and we have the one son, right? It's the three of us, and we're in this together. Her mom's kind of like Cotton. That's not true. She's kind of like Peggy. Just the sweet, direct simplicity. And you wouldn't think maybe that Hank would say this, right? He's not, as we've seen, all that quick to be open with his feelings and so forth. But he doesn't say it. Like, he doesn't make a sound and be like, oh, hell of a sound, you know?
Yeah.
It's
matter of fact.
It's matter of fact, plain, obvious fact. Like, this is a fact I totally believe in. Simple to say, Peggy's my best friend, son.
Yeah.
Love that line.
Mom?
That's right. And when you're older, I hope you're lucky enough to find a girl to be best friends with, too.
You think that'll really happen to me?
Well, it won't if you keep slapping them in the butt and ordering them around. You'll do okay. You just have to remember one thing. Women were not put on this earth to serve you and me. Now, what do you say we get an ice cream?
And then now we get a wider shot that shows that the truck is parked at a drive-in style fast food joint, and car hops on roller skates wearing mini skirts or zooming around.
Pretty girls in roller skates zooming around, bringing people their food. Yeah, I mean, that itself so funny, but also interesting, right? Where it's like we know, like what Hank's saying is true, but then we live in this world where, in ways that's not, you know what I mean? It's not exactly represented that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't even notice that they set it up that directly. I thought it was kind of like more subtle or something. I'm like, Hank's talking about women are equals, and hopefully.
But then we see in our culture that, like,
and then we see it. But they like really they tee that up with they're not meant to serve us, and then here's professional servers wearing mini skirts.
Yeah. Well, hey, they're getting paid for it at least.
It is. I keep coming back to that idea. It's like the kind of heart to heart. Obviously, at the end of Pilot, also Straight Arrow. Hank and Bobby talking. I do like that Hank is like endorsing Peggy and wishing for something similarly good and solid for Bobby. It's man, I feel like the episode, for all of Cotton's shenanigans and that, some of that can be hard to take. Like when he's slapping ladies on the ass, it's like, oh my God, this motherfucker. But that little exchange in the car is good.
A sweet end to this episode. Of course, before we give final thoughts on this one, we got ourselves a little bit of a quiz bowl. Rob, I got a question for you. Visually, I just saw you take a drink there.
That's right.
When Cotton shows up to the party, he requests a drink from Con. Now it's an alcoholic drink. I don't know that you're drinking alcohol right now.
I'm not. I wish I were.
Maybe you should have been, because you might have been drinking this drink. What was it?
I don't know. I'm trying to see if maybe it'll pop in my head as a little bit of audio, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think so. This can't be his drink, but the only thing in my mind is gin and tonic.
No, sir. It is a Mai Tai.
A Mai Tai?
Yeah, that's what That's what Cotton asks Con for. He reveals, and there's other little jokes to Cotton. He knows that Con's Laotian, but he also thinks that he works for Hank, even after it's been like, I feel like described to him that he doesn't work for Hank.
I got 2 for you, 2 quick ones.
Okay.
At Bobby's party, there's a piñata.
Yes.
Bobby's beating the shit out of it. It is not breaking open.
Uh-huh.
What does he say it must be made out of?
Is it titanium?
No.
Oh, what is it?
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird, that is such a 12-year-old kind of Bobby thing to, was it made of kryptonite? He read it in a comic book.
I like that. And then Cotton blows the thing apart with a shotgun and says, everybody come get your what kind of candy? What kind of candy does he say everybody come get? I'll give you a hint if you want.
Please do.
It sucks. Sorry, it's not a real hint. I hate this candy.
Your licorice candy.
That's a good guess, but no.
What is it?
Tootsie Rolls. Come get your Tootsie Rolls.
Oh, I don't mind Tootsie Rolls.
You like them okay?
I mean, I wouldn't ever buy them, but if I had one offered to me, I would take it. If anything, for nostalgia's sake.
If they spilled out of a shotgun blasted piñata, as Peggy says.
Yeah.
Which that's one thing about Peggy, like characters being themselves and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't have that audio, but I can't remember. Have we heard Peggy just hit a Spanish pronunciation hard like that?
I want to say this is the first time.
Yeah.
And if not one of the first times, but have they mentioned her being a Spanish teacher even at this point? Like they've said she's a substitute teacher and that she teaches all sorts of subjects.
Yeah.
I don't know. This might have been the first Spanish.
That'd be kind of weird to have her hit that piñata. I mean, I guess at that point, what if it happened like this? And now we're just speculating pointlessly, but
yeah.
What if they were just like, it'd be funny if she did that. And they're like, hey, I tell you what if she were a Spanish teacher and we can do that all the time? You know, like it might have just been kind of a one-off gag because sometimes people, it's like, that'll just be part of her personality. She overemphasizes the pronunciation of Spanish words. Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder the evolution of that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I actually have another question for you. This is a pretty easy one. Well, we'll see. We're still at Bobby's party. Cotton rides in on a beautiful stallion. What color is the horse?
I think it's white.
Yeah, it's white.
Yeah, okay. As always, you know, once we've gone on for so long, it's like, I said so much. Let me summarize. I think this episode is, as I said at the beginning, just dense with stuff to notice and think about. In that way, that's one of my favorite things that can happen is if anything, you know, but for me, that just means TV. You know, like I'm not eating complex dishes. I'm no culinary aficionado. But it's one of my favorite things that a show can do, an episode, a movie, whatever. It's like keep paying attention and you're just going to keep picking up on little stuff, whether that's inflections in the delivery by the actors or the word choice, noticing structure things, right? Like we talked for a long time about, who knows how long the edit is that people are hearing. We talked a long time about this episode.
Oh gosh, I hope shorter than the record.
Yeah. Man, I bet we could come back and do it again and probably still find more to do. And then maybe is always the case, but I feel like this one is especially rich.
We're passing so many things I wanted to talk about, but there's not enough time.
You just kind of have to, yeah. And I guess would reiterate that I kind of like that even more because coming in, I kind of a little bit dreaded having to spend time with Cotton being a monster.
Right.
And the show is just like, it's got way too much going on for that one aspect of it to ruin the fun.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it folds that thing that I don't love into the big complex stuff that it's doing so well. So I think I just talked myself into upping my rating.
All right. You sold yourself.
I'm going to go ahead and give it 5 out of 5. Inflated, perfectly knotted birthday balloons.
Holy shit. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I was like, all right, the Cotton episode. I really wasn't that excited for this one. I was more excited for like Hank's Unmentionable Problem and West East Side Story. So going into this, I'm like, all right, you know, let's see what we get. And you know, like I said, I'm not as much of a Cotton hater as some other people are. For example, I've mentioned my wife, Hannah, hates Cotton. Like she'll skip rewatch episodes that are focused on him.
I get it.
So I was like, all right, you know, let's see how this goes. And I was blown away. Again, I was off the bat just laughing at so many things. And then as we discussed here for the last 4.5 hours, It's like such an insanely well-written episode in ways I did not appreciate. I mean, both Allens on this one, I don't know if it's because their names are the same, but they were just so in sync. And look, I should mention, like, just because they're credited as the writers doesn't mean they're the only two guys who touched the script.
That's true.
But I mean, like you brought up, like we see just these versions of the characters that I love. I love every version of the characters that we see, especially Luanne. I like to her with like the, oh, should I wash this with the darks? I almost wonder if that was a joke. Because, like, if she knows cars, why would she think that she needs to wash the timing belt or whatever belt it was with? I don't know, but I loved Luanne here. We get a great Dale moment that we didn't touch on.
I know.
Where he says, sometimes things just disappear for no logical reason. One day, my cousin woke up, his kidney was gone. At the same time, 500 miles away, a woman in Phoenix contracted diabetes. Like, it's like this conspiratorial mind that makes these links that have nothing to do with each other is so fucking funny.
That one is one, talk about the structure and the craft of writing and everything. You don't know what he's going to land on.
Yeah. Yeah.
500 miles away or whatever it is, a woman, and you're like, where? Like, you think it's going to be like she woke up with an extra kidney or...
Yeah, exactly. It's just like nothing. You're like, really? Like,
to get the end of something like that to pop as hard as that does is good.
Because then we cut away after that to, like, nobody can follow up. We just cut away to Luanne fix the car. By the way, all the guys are standing around talking while Luanne fixes the car. How about that? Right. So I don't know. I've gushed about this episode so much. I don't have a whole lot to say here. Just like I was blown away by this one. I had low expectations, but I'm with you, Rob. After this conversation, I think I got to give this one 5 plates of corn pone out of 5. I just like was blown away. This is such a tight episode. It's such a funny episode too. There's so many good jokes here.
Since you rated it that, I am going to ask a question that's been on my mind for days. What is corn pone?
I had to look that up because I didn't know. It's basically like cornbread. It's like a cornbread in like a muffin shape. Yeah, I think it's just super similar to that. I had never heard of it really until this.
I love cornbread.
Yeah, I love cornbread, so I'm sure that corn pone is probably a good time. So, hey, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for hanging out with us, reliving this amazing episode of King of the Hill with us. Of course, you could find us over at yeppodcast.com if you want to support the show for more insanely long-winded deep dives into these episodes like this. Yeppodcast.com. I want to thank our Propane Hall of Flame supporter, Mr. Nick. Nick. You know what? The reviews are in, Rob. Nick reached out to me. He loved our newest The Room episode. He said our previous ones were like all-time favorites of his, and he really enjoyed the newest one that we did, this being for $10 supporters, Propaniac supporters of the podcast. He's a big old The Room fan. It sounds like he got into it around the same time that I did, around 2010-ish. And he was showing everyone The Room.
Doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, I guess so. And, I'd be interested to see Cotton and Tommy Wiseau have a conversation. I think Nick might appreciate that too. Maybe we can harness the power of AI to hear Cotton and Tommy Wiseau have a conversation. That might be kind of fun.
Oh my gosh. I feel bad for Tommy. I feel bad for anyone having to deal with Cotton.
Why is Cotton yelling all the time?
He's cranky today.
Well, hey, next time here on Yep, hey, we'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks' time. We're talking about Peggy the Boggle Champ.
This is my moment. You know, when I close my eyes, I see myself in the winner's circle, and you are right there next to me. My coach, my man. And we drive back to Arlen with that big-ass Boggle trophy mounted on the hood of your old truck like some beautiful gold-plated, bare-breasted Rolls-Royce angel.
I'm pretty curious to get to a Peggy-centric episode. In a way, this one really was, too. But it's also a lot about Hank, a lot about Cotton.
This was really an ensemble episode, which I appreciated.
It really was. I find myself excited. Am I setting myself up for disappointment? I find myself excited to watch a story about Hank and Peggy, maybe especially after Hank just said that she's his best friend.
Yeah. No, there's some drama in this one. This is one that I remember liking a lot. I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah, because we have the B plot of Luanne and Bobby, but we also aren't the guys going to like the Mower Expo and Hank's trying to sneak away for that? So it's
That's
not
right.
just Peggy with Boggle. There's also that. So there's kind of like 3 things happening in that one. And I'm now realizing, to Shins of the Father, there's no B plot here, right? But we don't notice it the way we noticed it in Hank's unmentionable problem.
Yeah, it's because Cotton's so dynamic.
I know,
His
there's so
effect
much
on everybody
happening.
Is, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's because we're cutting to all different characters in this one as opposed to just staying on Hank laying on a table for 5 minutes. But yeah, really excited for Peggy the Boggle Champ. It's one I've been looking forward to talking about and just watching again. I have fond memories of this one. So until next time, yep.
Yep.